Greetings, everybody. Chris Campbell here on this Sunday evening in the clock shop late tonight. Up on the workbench is by far one of the most difficult clock movements to work on. This particular clock movement comes from a grandmother clock, which is smaller than a grandfather clock. But I'm going to show you why it's so difficult here in a moment. First and foremost, this is a Franz Harmly movement. It's an 84. This movement was made in 1984. It's not an antique. It's more of a modern day movement. It's got 0 joules. It's untested and unadjusted, made in Germany. The model number is 341-020. The movement alone on this is about $500, give or take, depending on where you go to. This is a Westminster chime movement. And that's what makes this so difficult to work on. Because not only do you have these intermediate gears on the back that runs the chime, you also have the hammer system that's attached to the bottom side. Now we're going to show you why it's so difficult to work on. This is a rack and snail movement. This is the rack and this is the snail. It's made up of 3 gear systems all in one. On the right side, we have the hour strike. That's what controls the hour strike. In the center, we have the time side, which is controlled. That's why it has 3 different mainsprings. So this mainspring only controls the right side, which is the strike side for the hour. The center has its own main arbor here, which controls just the time mechanism. And the left side has its own mainspring winder, which controls the Westminster chimes on the quarter hour. So as you can see, this is more detailed. You have cams here, you have levers, you have pivots, you have the rack, you have the carrier rack here, intermediate wheel, snail, cannon pinion, you have the click and click spring, you have a click spring here, click spring here, ratchet wheel, ratchet wheel, and the arbor post. You have these tiny little springs that are in place, the pins for the cam wheel. So when you go to take this thing apart, you have a lot of stuff that has to be put back just right. In all total, there is exactly 29 pivots that have to line up properly and be put back into the plate system just right. That's not counting all of these on the outside that has to be adjusted and put into sequence with the gear system. Now on this one you have 2 flies, or 2 governors. You have this one, which is the strike, and it's fixing to go into strike. It doesn't have enough wind on it, so it's not going to fully go. And then you have this governor for the Westminster. You have the escapement wheel, the verge or deadbeat escapement. And then on the back here you have the suspension spring for the pendulum and the verge on the back that you can use for adjustments. And then you have your post and the screw to adjust for beat. This is by far one of the difficult ones. I have worked on probably 10 of these in my entire career. The last one, when I serviced it and went to put everything back together, it took me 2 days to align all of the pivots into their relative holes, get everything adjusted, lined up, and set up the way it should be. And I worked from 7 a.m. to 11 o'clock p.m. each day. That's how long it took to get this particular movement adjusted, set up, and regulated, just before we could even put it on the test stand. So we have a chore cut out for us today. That's why if you see a lot of clock makers, clock repair shops that work on this particular movement, they'll charge anywhere from $700 to $800 to do a complete service. It's because it takes a lot of time and, trust me, a lot of patience to put the plates back together, get all the gears put back into place, and get everything adjusted and lined up properly, like it should be. So what we're going to do is go ahead and start taking this apart. I'm going to do it off camera because that will take about 2 hours to dismantle this entire movement. We're going to put it into our ultrasonic cleaner, clean everything, polish all the gears, the pivots, polish the springs. We're going to clean the main springs, check for wear, and if we need to, add some bushings, and hopefully get this clock running. Right now it is gummed up, it will not run. The customer says that it's not chiming, and I put it on the test stand, and sure enough it would run for about 2 seconds, stop. When I advance the hands, neither side will chime, and even though it's fully wound. So I think the main springs are gummed up and it's keeping it from chiming. But yeah, this is a very tricky movement to work on. And for us to work on this movement, we do not charge the $600 and $800 like most clock shops. No. Believe it or not, to do a complete service overhaul on this particular movement, we only charge $200. And that includes taking it apart, cleaning, polishing, servicing, cleaning the mainsprings, oiling it, setting it, doing all the adjustments, regulating it, and cleaning the case. And that's it. We do not believe in charging an arm and a leg. We do too much business to do that to our customers. And we thank you for being a loyal customer. So, let's get to it and take this movement apart and see what we can do. If you need any antique clock or watch repair, come see us today at Campbell's Antique Clock and Watch Repair of Anderson, where we'll get your watch or clock back in time in no time. May God bless.